Okay, another way to solve quadratic equations is when a quadratic is in the form ax squared plus c equals 0, or more generally, if it's in the form ax plus some number squared is equal to some other number, then you can use the square root property. And what you're going to do is try to get whatever's being squared by itself and then take the square root of the other side. And when you do that, you need to remember that you need to put plus or minus whenever you're taking the square root. So for instance, if you had something like x squared equals 16, then when you take the square root of both sides, you get that x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 16, which is 4. Okay. So for our first example, we have 5x squared plus 45 equals 0. Our first step should be to subtract 45 from both sides. And when you do that, you get 5x squared is equal to negative 45. And then you're going to divide both sides by 5. And so you end up with x squared is equal to negative 9. And then you'll take the square root of both sides to get rid of that x squared. And when you do that, you get that x is equal to plus or minus the square root of negative 9, which of course is plus or minus 3i. So that's your final answer. So that's saying that x equals 3i and x equals negative 3i are both solutions to this equation. In the second example, we want to start off by dividing both sides by 3. And so we're left with x plus 5 squared is equal to 11. And then we're going to take the square root of both sides. And so we're left with x plus 5 is equal to the plus or minus the square root of 11. And so we'll end by subtracting 5 from both sides. And we'll get that x is equal to negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 11. So we have those two solutions to this equation. We have x minus 5 minus the square root of 11, and then x equals negative 5 plus the square root of 11.